Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. So if you like edgier kind of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. Check us out on Patreon, and a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You mean so much to us. It's a great blessing to have you guys in our lives and to support the channel the way you do. And a good thank you and shout out to our good friends at Dice Legion, who are helping us out and all of our friends by giving us the ability to use a promo code SINISTER to get 10% off all of our purchases. So you need dice, you need bags, you need other accessories, definitely check them out. Their website is in the description. And let's jump into this week's video. We're talking about lizard folk. Lizard folk, they are one of my favorite races. They are wildly cool. They have no emotion. They eat everything in sight, and everyone in the party is really just as useful as they are food. So if somebody goes down, the reasoning to raise somebody up is really not there as much as it is to eat them. It is a very cool concept. When you're playing a character like a lizard folk, one of the important things to understand is their minds work differently. They don't care about anything except for the things that are necessary for their survival. This usually indicates that they are very war-oriented, but it doesn't have to be that way. You don't need to start a fight constantly. A lot of lizard folk will trade with other beings and have a habit of trying to buy smaller folk from the people trading them because they think they're selling them as pets or food. The mindset of a lizard folk is what is going to make me survive, what is going to make me stronger, and what is best for my people. It really kind of falls between those three categories. Lizard folk will not rush in and fight a giant monster unless they believe they can win or it's an absolute necessity for them to survive. They will be smart enough not to take risks that don't benefit them, and they really have this touchstone of the purity of their own way of life. They don't need to advance technology because they're built to survive in the elements. They don't have like giant elaborate constructions or technology or gears or mechanical anything, because they basically found out that they just need sticks and sharp stones and they can survive anything. So a lot of their mindset is really simplistic in that kind of a sense. They look awesome. I tend to make mine look like more crocodilian, which is cool because I happen to love crocodiles and alligators, and you can really make them look however you want. There's a lot of great artwork for them, and they have such a great history. They're so cool looking. And you can really do a lot because who they are is so simple-minded that it's not that they're dumb. It's just that most of this other stuff doesn't matter. Like, they'll walk through a room full of riches and they won't be tempted to take the gold because the gold doesn't mean anything to them. And so it creates this great thing that you can make such a goal-oriented character that you don't deviate from the plan, and it alleviates you from all these like faults of being addicted to gold or treasure or needing it or making unnecessary risks because you think that's what's going to benefit you. You'll be able to weigh those things out very well and go, well, all this treasure's great, but we have to kill this thing, so let's not dilly-daddle. Like forget that. It doesn't mean anything. It's not useful to us. It is the worst option for us to take right now. And it creates this great new line of thinking and concepts that you can use. Base abilities of a lizard folk, the age, the alignment, the size are all pretty average. Lizard folk tend to be neutral because nothing else really matters besides their own survival, so they don't really care for the laws of God or man. They really kind of just do their own thing in that regard. Whatever's going to make them survive is whatever they're willing to do. Their morality isn't in the same boat as it is for other people that the lizard folk have to deal with. They can do whatever they feel is necessary, and there's no pressure of religious deities forcing them to do so. They have their own religious deities, and I do believe they come from dragons, but they don't necessarily follow them in a way of strategic laws or strategic chaos. It's just kind of whatever is necessary to survive. So there isn't a lot of conundrums morally that exist. Their speed is a normal 30 walking feet, and you do have a swim speed of 30 feet, which is pretty cool, in all honesty. I think it's I think it's great that they actually got this. Although you very rarely swim, when you do, it's difficult terrain for you unless you have a swim speed. So the fact that Lizardfolk can just jump in and just go is pretty awesome. I'm glad they kept that, because obviously you're a reptile and you're living basic swamps constantly. So being in the water pretty regularly is probably really, really important to you. Bite. Your fanged maw is a natural weapon which you can use to make unarmed strikes. If you hit with it, you deal piercing damage equal to 1d6 of your strength modifier instead of the bludgeoning damage normal for an unarmed strike. This is actually really great, and one of the reasons why I encourage people to play monks as Lizardfolk. Because you do get this, it works really well. It feels cool because it's a natural part of who you are. You fight like this anyway as a Lizardfolk. Having a bite attack really makes sense, and being a monk would make this grow in level, in dice level and damage as you progress further along. So you can use this as a d6 right off the bat, and then when your martial arts die gets higher than that, the bite attack will grow with it. Cunning Artisan. As part of a short rest, you can harvest bone and hide from a slain beast, construct, dragon, monstrosity, or plant creature of size small or larger to create one of the following items: a shield, a club, a javelin, or 1d4 darts or blowgun needles. To use this trait, you need a blade such as a dagger or an appropriate artisan's tools such as a leatherworker's tools. This was taken out of Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. I don't know why. I think it's a great flavor to the Lizardfolk. It really cements this survival first mentality because it makes you look at everything around you differently. It makes you look at everything around you as another tool in order to survive. It gives you an availability to create other things. You could use shields and just give them out to party members. Even if they don't have proficiency in it, they'll still get that +2 armor bonus. And if they use mostly spell DC saves, then it's better for them because they don't suffer any penalties for it until they're actually doing an attack roll. And they can just drop it at any point. If you need to just run through a trapped area, grab a shield and just book it. You need to lodge something in between a door in order to get through so it doesn't crush people. Lodge a shield in between. It'll give you a few moments at least. It's a great way to come up with creative uses for these things and to make sure that if you end up in a scenario where you've lost all your gear, you can at least do something to bring yourselves back up to fighting speed. Hold breath. You can hold your breath for up to 15 minutes at a time, which is a great thing if you're in a situation where you're underwater or you have a lot of water around you, if you're in like salt marsh or if you're just going underwater for whatever reason. It's great to have it. And then Hunter's Lore. You gain proficiency in 2 of the following skills of your choice: animal handling, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. I love survival as a skill, though I never get to use it. If you're going to be tracking something, if you're looking for like food out in the wilderness, that's the kind of stuff you need survival for. I like that idea. I have yet to find a real scenario where I use it often enough, unfortunately. But perception and stealth, that's right up your alley. You live in the jungles. You hunt constantly. That's what you do. Being able to be sneaky and being able to see very well is very, very important to you. It is one of the best and most often used skills in the game is perception, so having proficiency in that is a big bonus. Natural armor. You have tough, scaly skin. When you aren't wearing armor, your AC is 13 plus your dexterity modifier. You can use your natural armor to determine your AC if the armor you would wear would leave you with a lower AC. A shield's benefit applies as normal when you use your natural armor. Here's what's important about this skill. First and foremost, it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. You are rocking out with better armor than a rogue can normally wear unless you're using magical armor. Secondly, it is dex based. So if you are going to be like a monk, which I really suggest and I really think is a great way to go, your dexterity is going to be a monster. You're going to be rocking out with 18 AC so fast. Keep in mind, and this is something that people forget, even though you're using natural armor for your AC benefit, if you're using other armor with lower AC that gives you something else, like a resistance or a special skill or ability or spell or something, you get to keep the natural armor AC and you can use those abilities. If you have some sort of leather armor or something that gives you resistance to slashing damage, say, you keep that and you use the AC from your natural armor. So even though the AC is going to be worse from the item, your actual AC is always going to be at worst what your highest natural armor AC is going to be. And that's something you should really take into consideration with what you can do. And it's a good reason to keep putting on armor and not negating that just because you don't need the AC. Sometimes it's going to be a little funky of an idea, but once you see the possibility of that, it changes how you see the importance of armor. Because now magical armor actually means something to you. But you have to be smart enough to realize that those things work cohesively and not just independently. Hungry Jaws. In battle, you can throw yourself into a vicious feeding frenzy. As a bonus action, you can make a special attack with your bite. If the attack hits, it deals normal damage, and you get temporary hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. And you can't use this trait again until you finish a long or a short rest. Now, this is an exciting ability because it gives you temporary HP. In Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, they give you this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, which is fantastic. So you get to use it more often. And it's still, it only gets regained on a long rest. That's the offset. So like if you got to use it maybe 3 times, then it kind of balances out for 1 per short rest. So really kind of getting a little bit about the same for most of the game. And then when you hit higher levels, this is going to happen constantly. As your proficiency bonus goes up to 6, it's a lot to use. When you get higher level, this 5 or whatever con modifier you have, you want to shoot for 5 obviously to get the most of it. This isn't going to give you so much temp HP as it is going to give you damage reduction. And that's kind of what this becomes. Because you're going to use this, you're going to take a hit, and whatever that hit is, you're going to -5 because of the temp HP before it actually does any damage towards you. And that's kind of the benefit. So in Monsters of the Multiverse, you want to just do this pretty regularly. If you're not using that version, just be sure to use it before you're like 1 or 2 hits away. You want to use this after you've taken maybe a hit and maybe you're at like 75% health. That's the best way to use it, because when you land that hit, then you get this bonus and it'll keep you going a little longer. If you miss with this ability, you still can use it again because it only works on a hit. So you can keep trying until you land it. So don't worry too much about it. It's a great way to keep you going a little longer, give you a little bit max of an HP boost, and you never know when you'll need it to survive. So it's a benefit, it's a strong ability, and you get to use it pretty regularly. Our final thoughts on the lizard folk. You do not have dark vision. First and foremost, I gotta exemplify what that means. It means you will not be able to see in the dark. You will need to use torches. You will need to use other light sources. You cannot just walk blindly into things. If you do manage to pick up the spell dark vision, then great, fantastic. If you pick up goggles that let you see in the dark, great, fantastic. But you do not have that at Jump Street. Nor do you have anything that can magically give you the availability to create light. So you need to be prepared to handle that kind of intuitive nature. And play the game a little differently. That being said, everything else you get from the lizard folk is strong. That natural armor is beefy. Those hungry jaws and that bite is great. 15 minutes of being able to hold your breath underwater is a very great way to get yourself out of trouble, because no one's going to stand around for 15 minutes looking for someone. And if you could jump into a lake and hide there, or in a well or something, that is a great benefit to you. They make great dexterity based anything. You want to be a paladin? Go for it. You want to be a monk? Even better. I think they just work so well with the monk. If you want to be a rogue, you want to be a ranger. Ranger very cohesively brings together a lot of the aspects of survival that the lizard folk are all about. It works. It gives you a reason to be stealthy and to hide out in the jungles. I think it makes sense. I think it works perfectly. There's a lot of great great ideas to come out with being a monstrous alligator-like person. You're aggressive, you're dangerous, but you're all about the simple mindset of what's going to make me survive. You will eat whatever is in front of you. You do not create emotional attachments. You just do whatever the need is to survive. You're with a group of people because this is how you survive. You hunt monsters because that's just the best way for you to use your abilities and survive and make a living. But you don't care enough about your party to sacrifice yourself for them because they are just but tools to achieve. They are not lizard folk. They are not, you know, dangerous. They're like Yuan-Ti in that sense, but they're not so nationalistic. Like, they don't consider themselves to be like such a perfect being. They just care only about surviving. And that's it. Everything else kind of just doesn't matter. And it's a great way to be this, like, culturally based on nature and encourage that kind of mentality. It's fun. It's exciting. You can do so much with it. And you're a big, scary lizard. Like, why would you not leap out from the shadows and attack everything in sight? Like why wouldn't you do crazy stuff like that? You're a giant lizard monster. Definitely something to check out. One of my favorite races, and I thoroughly enjoy everything about them. That being said, we're going to bring this video to a close. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking through. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe if you already haven't. Definitely check us out on Patreon. Thank you again to all our Patreon supporters. Thank you very much to Dice Legion for helping us out with the promo code Sinister. Check them out. The link is in the website. And thank you so much for giving a spooky kid a chance.